The distance is short, but the rivalry is long and deep. Two of the all-time winningest coaches on the sideline, and the series always features some of the brightest and best stars of the conference. Today is the next chapter between the Wolverines and the Spartans, and it's coming up next. Today is the 94th all-time meeting between Michigan State and Michigan, but the first meeting of the year between the Wolverines and the Spartans. A little rivalry basketball on this Tuesday. With the Maryland Hall of Famer Christy Winters-Scott, I'm Lisa Byington. Thank you for tuning in to the Big Ten Network. And Christy, we're going to highlight some star power today. We start with Michigan's Naz Hillmon, who shines the brightest on a stage like today.
I cannot wait. Naz Hillmon can be highly combustible at any moment and can go off for 50 points at the blink of an eye. She is just a junior, a two-time consensus first team All Big Ten the last 2 seasons. Now as a junior, looking for more.
And a potential first-team All Big Tenner in Leah Brown, who returned to play against Purdue on February 11th.
Well, the Nebraska transfer, she was the Big Ten Sixth Player of the Year last season. She had 20 points in her return to the court, but most of those points, Lisa, came from the free throw line. Good to see her back. And on the flip side of that, Nia Clouden for Michigan State. She leads the Spartans in scoring and assist. She needs the basketball in her hand. Michigan plays that staunch defense, and they're going to try to limit Nia Clouden's touches.
There's a reason why Michigan State goes how Nia Clouden goes. She is a scoring point guard. She is a passing point guard. She's also a defensive point guard, and she matches up in the top 12 in terms of points, assists, and steals with these two studs in the conference.
Well, that's what you want to see. You want to see evolution, number one, in players, but you also want to see balance in terms of their statistical production. These three are phenomenal and have had tremendous seasons so far this year.
Clouden in the starting lineup along with Janae Crooms again from Michigan State, who's been a nice complementary piece in the backcourt to Clouden. Alicia Smith has double figures in 3 of the last 4 games. Amy Dilk is back in the starting lineup for Michigan. That means Maddie Nolan will be coming off the bench in a very veteran lineup there for the Wolverines. Well, Christy, set the table for us. What are your keys? What are we looking for today?
Well, for Michigan State, Lisa, they need to steal it and score it. 9 steals per game. They force 18 turnovers. They want to get it and go. And they also need to clear out for Clouden. 19 points, shooting 51% from the floor. Get her the ball, please. And then for Michigan, board work. They're +7 over Michigan State in that stat. They also need to go to and go through one Naz Hillmon. 25.7 points per game. Second best in the conference, shooting 64% from the floor.
A rivalry that normally has both arenas packed, but you can still feel the emotion between Michigan and Michigan State here today. The tip going to the Wolverines in their maize jerseys, and again they feed Naz Hillmon on the first possession.
That's why one of the keys was to go through and go to her. And Susie Merchant told us they didn't want to give up the lob, but they gave it up on that play. And there was no help side up the line waiting for her in that man-to-man defense.
Yeah, Susie Merchant telling us they're going to have to switch up their defenses a little bit. Right now it is Alicia Smith with a one-on-one coverage here for Naz Hillmon, but that is something to watch here all night long. The tip and an athletic play by Julia Arolt, and Michigan State here on the push. Crooms running
nice
into some traffic.
Defensively. And right back the other way is Michigan with the ball, settling into their offensive set.
Here's Leah Brown, who will turn and face going off the glass. And a battle here for the loose ball. It'll be Michigan State basketball.
Leah Brown got the ball at the high post, and yes, she can stretch the floor by shooting the threes. Just missed the mark on that one. But do you think you need to tell these two teams that this is a major rivalry game? They are on the ground. Hopefully Leah Brown is okay, as she's still grimacing after she hit the deck pretty hard right there.
Well, she got her leg kind of tangled up in the battle there for the loose ball. Kim Barnes-Arico saying that this team has something to prove. We'll get into that even in more depth as the game goes on. But Julia Ayrold sizing it up here from 3. Michigan State hit a season-high 10 threes in the last game against Penn State.
I love Julia Ayrold's game. 6'2" sophomore, can stroke it from the outside. Keeps you honest by spreading the floor for Michigan State.
You saw her numbers, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 26 minutes. She is a starter this year for Michigan State as a sophomore. That sophomore class so important also to the success for Michigan State this year.
No question. They do it by committee. Yes, Clouden has gaudy stat numbers, but it's everybody else who has done a great job all season.
Amy Dilk gets her first bucket. Normally a starter here throughout her career. She started all but 3 games through 76 games of her career. She's back in the starting lineup here today for Michigan. A walking violation gives it right back to the Wolverines. I love talking to Susie Merchant today. She said it's going to be an adult game today. Both of these head coaches understand what it means to take on your rival.
No question. You don't have to say a lot. You know, it's pretty much stated by saying that it's on the schedule.
Julia Ayrold awfully aggressive here defensively. She already had 1 block. And whistle for the foul, though, on this attempt.
Watch it right here. Well, watch right here. She comes over and swats it. She gets the ball, but she also gets a piece of the body on that one. But she was right where she needed to be defensively. Just needed to stay vertical instead of getting into that body and letting her body drift.
We showed you the game that Leah Brown had in the last game, last Thursday against Purdue. Now, keep in mind, she's a player that went about 37 days between games of honoring COVID protocol. And you see her numbers there. It was her 5th 20-point game. She is such a key piece this year for Michigan. In fact, one of the games she missed was one of the games that Michigan lost, their only loss here so far this year.
And that was to Ohio State. And it was another 20-plus point scorer who did not play in that game. And yes, Naz Hillman went off for those 50 points against Ohio State, but Michigan didn't win that game because they didn't have that offensive balance that Leah Brown brings to the floor.
Here she is again going off the glass that time, can't get it. Brown starting out 0 for 2 here from the floor. Her 2 free throws, her points here so far. Taking it hard down the lane line as Moira Joyner gets it tipped away.
You see Michigan State likes to go with that small lineup. Susie Merchant has been tinkering with that against Northwestern in the second half. She felt that she needed more boards, needed to shore up the interior defense, so she went with that big lineup. So she has more variety now with what she can tap into in terms of who she has on the court.
It's Haley Brown's here first points. I'd like to see her get going a little bit offensively, and in particular, one of her strengths usually is shooting the 3-point shot. Hasn't found a lot of success from there in the last few games. And Crooms gets the bucket for Michigan State.
Yeah, going back to Haley Brown, she leads Michigan with 14 made threes coming into this one. And how easy was that for Naz, Lise?
She makes it look easy. Naz Hillman last year had 26 points and 13 rebounds in the last meeting, last February against Michigan State. Going off the glass, there's Michigan State stud Nia Clouden. And another touch for Naz Hillman, right at the block.
A rim run by Naz Hillman. I tell you what, if you're not in a full sprint to get back and track where Naz Hillman is going and deny her a touch, you're going to be in trouble. She's tied for 3rd in the country in terms of her point production, just under 26 a game. Well, watch right here. Naz Hillman gets double teamed, but hey, you make yourself available to the ball like Brown did, you can get an easy bucket yourself. A nice reverse pivot. How quick is that step back? And the rim run right here, you're too late. If she's already caught the ball and you're just starting to play defense, she is going to make you pay time and time again. She has not missed a shot yet.
She's
Naz Hillman, the junior. What a phenom.
a special player for Michigan and maybe a program changer. It was interesting in talking to Kim Barnes-Arico about the fact that, she's had a relationship with Dawn Staley through USA Basketball. And Dawn Staley, of course, had a program-changing player in A'ja Wilson, who was the face of the program, won a championship for South Carolina, and she was making a parallel comparison to someone as talented as Naz Hillman, who wants to do the same, could play almost anywhere in the country, decided to come to Michigan because she wants to be the first to bring Michigan a championship.
No question, and that's exactly right, Lisa. And she said that she and Dawn both left their previous schools, and Kim Barnes-Arico was at St. John's previously, and Dawn was at Temple prior to going to South Carolina. And she said they wanted to go and make changes. They didn't want to go to an established program that had championships and who had won games in a staunch manner over the course of time. But I think they really relate to one another in that regard. When you have a player like A'ja Wilson, who is a star in the WNBA with the Las Vegas Aces now, Naz Hillman is well on her way to be that kind of player at the next level in the WNBA as well. But they're program changers, no question, like you said.
Hillman has the last 5 points here for Michigan. And a jump ball cause that time, but Michigan State will keep it. Under 5 to play here in the first quarter. Wolverines with a 13-9 early edge. Well, just last night, the top 16 seeds released by the NCAA selection committee, the Big Ten getting 2 of the top 16. You see Maryland as a national seed, number 7. That would be the number 2 seed on the 2 line. And Indiana as the number 15 national seed. You don't see in that top 16 are the Michigan Wolverines, who, by the way, in the net rankings, which is one of the tools that the NCAA uses this year for the NCAA tournament, Michigan is 14th in the net. They have been around 11 or 12 ranked in the polls consistently here this year. And so when that top 16 reveal came out yesterday and last night, Kim Barnes-Arico, and understandably so, felt disrespected. And that's the word that she used to us today. And she was going to present that to her team to play with an edge and a chip from here on out to prove the NCAA selection committee wrong.
As if she needed to fan the fire of this rivalry anymore. But she was completely fired up prior to shoot-around earlier today. And she said she felt some kind of way, Lisa. I mean, she felt like a couple of years ago her team was slighted and didn't get a bid to the NCAA tournament. That's the year they won the WNIT championship. They proved themselves there. But I tell you what, it gets exhausting continuing to try to prove your worth and to prove your value. And she said she just felt so bad for the student athletes. She felt so bad for the players who have laid their heart on the line. Yes, they've had 9 games postponed, but so have other teams. They've gone through the same rigors in that regard in terms of the frustrations. But there's the banner for the WNIT. So they're carrying a chip on their shoulder, and it's got more layers to it than just the Michigan State rivalry. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, you just have to keep winning. That's how you prove your worth. And let people say what they want and write what they want, but you have to go out there and do the work and continue to chip away at things. And eventually they won't have any other choice but to include you.
Mardrika Cook has picked up a couple of fouls in the last couple of possessions here for Michigan State. And the pickoff there and the steal, the take. And an open layup opportunity that the Spartans can't convert.
Well, how about that powerful rebound by Naz Hillman? My goodness. I mean, that's why she leads the Big Ten with 12 rebounds a game. She just climbed the ladder on that one. Oh.
Naz Hillman.
And the step-through move for Naz.
I mean, if that's not an old school up and under, no dribble, I'm taking you to the hoop and finishing with contact, I don't know what is. I mean, you're going to have to convince me that she's not the Big Ten Player of the Year this year. She is just phenomenal on both sides of the ball.
4-point edge here for Michigan. They're trying to slip the pass there to Brown. Michigan will keep it.
Look at Naz right here. Just two hands up high. Excuse me. She's just clearing her way. Right there, she's just into the body. Tremendous early seal and connection on the defender who's straight behind her. And that, I'm telling you, you cannot sit on her back. She will find a way to utilize that contact to her advantage every single time.
Naz is off to a really special start. Hasn't missed a shot. A perfect 4 for 4 from the field. 9 points already and 3 rebounds. That was a defensive rebound, Christy, but Naz Hillman arguably, and statistically it proves it, she's one of the better offensive rebounders that you'll find in the country. She averages about 5.5, so Michigan State here today not only has to try to defend her in the half court, they almost have to try to defend her as an offensive rebound as well.
Yeah, Susie Merchant told us today that, yeah, they're going to have to try to pinch and sandwich her, especially on the free throw line on rebounds, because she gets in there, which is most frustrating for her opponent's coaches to see somebody who doesn't have the inside position get an offensive board off of a free throw when you're given the inside position as a defensive team.
Well, another foul picked off on the moving screen that time. Tyre Parks got called for it, and now 5 team fouls here for Michigan State and Susie Merchant. There was a lot of free throws that were shot last year. 39 free throws Michigan got in this meeting with Michigan State, and it has been physical here so far. So Parks now with a couple of fouls to go along with Cook's 2 fouls on the Michigan State side.
Well, that makes it tough, but screening actions are all about timing, and it has to do with the person utilizing the screen more than the person that's setting it.
Layup after layup right now in the first quarter here for Naz. A 5 for 5 start, and she's already in double figures with 11.
I told you she was combustible, right? I mean, she can go off for 50 points, just like she did in that Ohio State game. She was 20 of 30 from the floor in that Ohio State game, 67%. Watch right here. She's going to make herself available, and it's just too late defensively. Watch her feet. Look at her feet, doing all the early work. She didn't even really get a solid seal, but it was her footwork that got her presented to the ball in time to catch and finish like that.
She's got the last 9 points here for the Wolverines, and it's that kind of Naz streak that gives opposing head coaches and opposing teams nightmares when she gets on a roll like that.
Well, it's that meme, Lisa, you know that Dwayne Wade meme where he says, "I love it." I mean, I love it. I'd love to see the old school down in the mud post play, and she is that player.
Three other players from Michigan have scored, and all of them just with the 2 points. So heavy lifting here so far. Naz Hillman with all but 6 points of Michigan's first few points, and swings it out this time to Brown. Still trying to hunt down that 3-point bucket. And a foul there on the floor on the rebounding attempt. Again, it's that offensive rebounding threat by Naz Hillman.
But what you can't do is box out once the player is in the air. Oh my goodness, that could be an injury waiting to happen. And yes, you have to do your job and box out and get a body on Naz Hillman. And Susie Merchant said they have discussed it ad nauseum. And they had gone through it time and time again on what they need to do to keep Naz Hillman off the glass. But when she's in the air, all bets are off. You can't put contact on an airborne player like that. You have to keep the players safe.
Susie Merchant used the comparison of Dennis Rodman, and he's right in our wheelhouse, Christy, in terms of talking about players that we know really well. But just the way he pursued the basketball. She told the story how reporters asked Dennis Rodman, "Why are you such a good rebounder?" And he said, "Because I pursue every single shot." And that's exactly what Naz Hillman does as a rebounder.
Right, and she said that the reporters kind of laughed it off, like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he was like, "No, I'm dead serious. Like, I pursue every shot as if it's coming off the rim. It's a 50-50 ball, and you have to have a motor. It's a loose ball. And that's how you have to treat every single shot that goes up, and that's what Naz Hillman has adapted.
Another foul call here for Michigan State. Winston this time picks up the foul. So 17 fouls here with 1:13 left in the quarter. Again, you just need the 5 team fouls to get a couple of free throws in the women's game.
In 9 minutes, Naz Hillman has 12 points on 5 of 5 shooting for Michigan. And I mean, how efficient is that? I mean, it's not like she's taking, a ton of shots. All of her shots have come in the paint. She just does her work early. And paint points right now for Michigan, 14-6 advantage. And that's where they want to go.
Michigan State's missed its last 4 attempts, looking for some offense here inside a minute to play of the first quarter. Off balance that time for Winston.
What's intriguing is that Kenray Johnson is guarding Nia Clouden.
And it's Brown on the push. She took it all the way coast to coast, and Michigan is up 10.
And that was from a rebound. All the way at the rim on the other side, and no resistance in transition defense. And Susie Merchant said, hey, we got to be able to get back in transition. Nobody was home.
And just one and done again here for Michigan State, but it's Winston with the quick hands, and that time she won't miss the opportunity.
Winston had been in a little bit of a shooting slump prior to their last game against Penn State, but she has come around, has great energy so far today.
A 22-14 advantage here for Michigan. The Wolverines are running and cruising Christie in the first quarter.
Basketball 101. Leah Brown gets the rebound right here, and the rule is, hey, if they stop you, then pass it. Nobody stops the ball, so keep going to the rim. A little crossover, nobody home for Michigan State in the paint.
The 94th all-time meeting between Michigan and Michigan State. These two programs have actually split the last 6, though Michigan State has dominated this series overall. And Kim Barnes-Arico has all week, or the last few days at least, been wearing these 2 buttons to remind herself and remind her team of what is at stake. And Susie Merchant getting a text and a photo from Tori Jankowska, who sent her this photo. It was from 2017. It was Tori's senior year when they played at Michigan. And Tori said that was right after an alley-oop pass to Brandy Agee for Michigan State to go up by 20. And so both of these head coaches, again, just deeply entrenched in this rivalry between these two schools.
Well, there's nothing like a great rivalry game. And then you had Kim Barnes-Arico talking about, hey, they've had this date circled a couple of times because they were supposed to play January 18th and then again on the 28th, and both of those games got bumped to today. But then you have Susie Merchant saying Ariel Powers was texting me, Tori Jankowska was texting me, and players who aren't even playing anymore at Michigan State are still well invested in this rivalry game.
Yeah, nice to have the 2 all-time scorers in Michigan State history, Tori Jankowska and Ariel Powers, remembering when rivalry game is coming off the bench. It's a 3-point shot for Maddie Nolan for Michigan.
Maddie Nolan had been starting a couple of games. She brought that defensive energy, and when you have Kim Barnes-Arico saying, hey, our offense may struggle because we've been in and out and paused and stop-start a little bit, but that defense is always something that you can bring to the table, and Maddie Nolan and Amy Doak have been kind of swapped out in that last starting spot.
Michigan throws it away there on that possession. That Nolan 3, by the way, is the first 3-point make for Michigan. 3 of their last 40 on 3-point attempts. Here's Nia Clouden looking to bring Michigan State a little bit of momentum with the and one.
Well, Nia Clouden, she has probably seen every defense possible, but she somehow found a way to get inside, and she got tagged on this shot by Kenray Johnson, who came over from the weak side and displaced her while she was in the air.
Clouden coming in, if she gets this free throw, she hits 22nd all-time here for Michigan State, and there it is. She's climbing the charts in terms of scoring-wise and assist-wise. Coming into today, 296 career assists, just 4 off of 300 in her career.
And she eclipsed that 1,000-point record earlier this season, and just to have a player come into her own after having been thrust into a leadership position last year. They had so many injuries, and she just had to, as a sophomore, take over the reins, and it has paid dividends for her this year.
You see the double team coming here for Naz Hillman when she got that touch. Now 6 seconds here to shoot. It's Airault again who got a piece, her second block of the game.
She has impeccable timing with her block shots.
And Smith catches and fires. Caught a little bit of body, no call that time.
Well, you've got to absorb that contact and finish, especially when you're inside. You've got to put those bunnies in the basket.
Back-to-back blocks now for Airault. She's got 3 here in the game, and it leads to the transition push here for Michigan State. And pushing, as you had mentioned, Christy, is something that Michigan State wants to do a little bit more in this game.
Well, they want to get up and down the floor. Ohio State found success against Michigan in transition right here. Airault saying, no ma'am, and denying that one. And then on the other side, Naz Hillman whistled for that one.
Alicia Smith now 3 for 3 at the foul line. Michigan State hasn't gotten as many free throw opportunities so far here as Michigan, but they're making the most of the ones they have. Now 6 of 7 shooting, and inching closer to that Michigan tally at the free throw line. They'll give that shot up.
Backdoor handoff action there.
They'll give that shot up to Naz Hillman, and it's Maddie Nolan with the offensive rebound. And the little guard getting an offensive rebound and putback, standing at 5'9".
Michigan likes to run that elbow entry pass and looking for that back door and then looking for a handoff after that. But they gave Naz Hillman that space, and if there's one thing she needs to improve upon is hitting that little mid-range elbow jumper.
Michigan State basketball.
It'll be Michigan State basketball taking it out from underneath.
Hey, wait a minute. That ball did not hit the rim.
Oh, they're saying the ball did not hit the rim. Right now the shot clock's sitting at 20 seconds. And it had been reset to 20. We'll take another look at it.
Right.
Yeah, but they're right. So that's at about maybe
clearly
13 or
did not.
12.
It did not change trajectory. So clearly, yes, did not touch that rim. A great view here.
Mark Zentz, Jenna Cross, Felicia Grinter are the officials for this game. The shot clock's still at 20 as they go to the monitor to get the exact time here. Looks like they might be at 11 seconds here on the shot clock.
Shot clock reset to 11 seconds.
Elevator action there, trying to get Janae Crooms off the top, played nicely by Johnson.
Airault had to let it fly. It was tipped a little bit. And Michigan here on the push. Johnson looking inside to Naz Hillman and got the double team, but also picked up another foul on Michigan State.
But there's that rim run once again by Naz Hillman, getting herself up the floor, presenting right in front of the rim. Gets her 2 feet planted and gets tagged by 2 players.
Crooms picks up her first personal and sends Naz Hillman to the free throw line. Such a good job in terms of getting to the free throw line, drawing fouls on the opponent, Naz Hillman, a unique skill set. She was Big Ten Freshman of the Year. She was the 6th Player of the Year. And the question this year is, could she be the Big Ten Player of the Year? She'd be an elite company if she could accomplish that. And a soft touch that time for Winston.
Well, I love that Naz Hillman has just elevated her game every single season. I mean, she's the only player this year, Lisa, in the NCAA to be in the top 10 for scoring and rebounding. She's 3rd in the country in scoring, just over 25 points per game, and she is 9th in rebounds with 12 a game. So she is just one of those phenomenal young women who just comes in with a balanced skill set. She shoots 75% from the line, just knocked home those last 2. She knows she's going to get a lot of touches with the ball. She knows that she is going to draw the best defensive schemes from opponents, but somehow she always finds a way to present herself in an efficient manner.
From the out of bounds, she found a way there, and Naz Hillman again adding to her tally, 16 points here already.
And 6 of 7 shooting.
(31-23) is your score. Michigan over Michigan State. 5.5 to play. Here's Tori Osment getting some playing time and a nice take in the lefty finish.
That was a great take and great patience by Michigan State.
Johnson going inside and deflected by Crooms. Naz again getting the touch and the turnaround for 2. She's got 18 here already in the first half.
She's got such great hands inside, and that's what you want from your interior players. You want them to be able to catch anything that comes their way, and boy, Naz Hillman does that.
Foul committed there on the penetration. Another big game here so far for Naz Hillman with 18. We compare the resumes to Maggie Lucas to Naz Hillman only for this reason. Maggie Lucas is the only player since the 6th Player of the Year award was introduced in the conference in 2006 to win Freshman of the Year, 6th Player of the Year, and you see she won Player of the Year twice in 2013 and 14. You go over to Naz Hillman's resume, she's already won Freshman and 6th Player of the Year. She's been a first-team All-Big Ten honoree last year, and you see her numbers for this season. Could it be good enough to join Maggie Lucas as the only players to win those 3 awards in Big Ten history?
If you're asking me, the answer to that question is a resounding yes. I think she has the skill set, the confidence, the consistent offensive production. And I just say yes to that, Lisa.
Osment for the bucket for 2. And a tight game here still between Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan State has spread the scoring around. Winston with 6, Smith with 6, and Clouden with 6. And Hillman has 18 of the 33 for the Wolverines as Dilk gets another couple, and she's got 4 for the game.
Nice execution there by Michigan. They had Amy Dilk coming off of that high ball screen set by Naz Hillman there.
Count the bucket. Nia Clouden with another and one.
Nia Clouden.
Another and one for Nia Clouden right here. Kind of a broken play, but she made her way to the basketball, continued to come to meet it. But here's that set. Here comes that weak side post coming up to set a little rub screen. Amy Dilk making her way to the rim for the finish.
Clouden now with 9 points for Michigan State to lead the Spartan side.
Here comes that exact same set, Lisa, that screen. Michigan State covered it better on that possession.
And that double team coming over. It looked like Clouden Christie wanted to come over, but was a little bit late on that time. And Naz gets another bucket. She's at 20.
Well, she is just a machine inside for Michigan at this juncture of the game, and she has just been unstoppable so far in this first half.
Johnson took a look at her on the post. Again, one-on-one coverage still by Alicia Smith, and there's Johnson with a little finger roll finish, and Michigan State calls the timeout.
It's the first timeout, 3 timeouts remaining.
28 paint points right now for Michigan to Michigan State's 18. They have just been able to rip, go, and finish. Kenray Johnson has just been amazing for Michigan on both sides, getting herself into the fray defensively. She always draws the tougher defenders, but right here, she's a secondary defender, getting in there and forcing a jump ball. And then right here, getting downhill, scooping it in off the glass. Just a nice balanced game so far by Kenray Johnson, who takes so much pride, Lisa, in her defensive energy. And she can guard multiple positions against opponents. And here you see her on Clouden.
One of the veterans on this roster here from Michigan, and so valuable in that way. And getting an extra year of eligibility after she only played 10 games because of a season-ending knee injury her freshman year. Haley Brown hunting down the three. That's got to feel good for her. Coming into this game, she was 0 for 7 from back there in the last 2 games.
Yeah, she had struggled in the last 2, and you see the bench kind of having an applause party for her on the bench, giving her some great team energy as well.
And shooting 30% from 3 here from the year, but certainly one of her strengths, and certainly very capable of hitting that shot at a very high percentage. Clouden again going down low, and the pass just couldn't be handled that time from Smith. Brown with the little take, and she draws the foul. Foul on Eliza Winston. That is her second. She's the 3rd player for Michigan State that's picked up 2 fouls now. Winston with 2, Parks with 2, and Cook with 2.
I love the energy by both teams. I mean, the crowd isn't there, and at least that makes a big difference. You see Winston, like you said, picked up that 2nd foul, but you have your team to depend upon to manufacture that team energy, that vocal leadership, and even if that's outside of your wheelhouse, that's not what's comfortable for you, it's time to get out of that. You've got to be uncomfortable. You've got to help your teammates vocally and cheer them on, and somehow that'll give you some great energy when you have an opportunity to get on the floor as well.
Those free throws, you see the 8-0 run for Michigan in the last minute and 45 seconds. Coming up empty-handed, and the turnaround is Parks. It's a battle of hot and cold offenses right now, and Michigan continues to be hot as Leah Brown gets her first 3-point make of the game.
Oh, Leah Brown had not a lot of space, Lisa, to get that shot off. There was a screening action happening basically right in front of her, and just had the calm composure to knock it through for 3.
Nia Clouden coming up empty-handed. She's 0 for 2 from back there. Michigan State is 1 of 6 from 3 as a team. Turnover that time, trying to feed Naz Hillman. Here's Clouden on the push, getting her own miss, and the putback. She's got another and one. Her 3rd of the game so far.
Speaking of 3, she had 3 yellow jerseys around her, Lisa, and found her way to the boards. Here's Clouden right here. She knew it was off. She knew it was going the other way. Took that contact and got that one to go. And Nia Clouden, her teammates call her GOAT. And it's so funny. Janae Crooms coined that nickname for her, and she answers to it, which you'd love to see.
And that's the 2nd personal on Naz Hillman, with just under a minute to play in this first half. Largest lead has been 16 for Michigan. Sits at 13 right now. Johnson trying to feed Hillman, and look at the black jerseys surrounding 0-0 on that possession.
A little bit different than what we had seen earlier in this first half, and Naz Hillman was trying to get that lob pass, which he loves to get. But that defense was sandwiching her on each side.
Mid-range jumper is good here for Clouden. And Michigan State closing to within 11 here. Michigan can hold it for one final shot. Kim Barnes-Arico keeping Naz Hillman in for the final minute or so, even after she picked up her second personal.
A ton of trust with that action from Kim Barnes-Arico.
4 seconds here for the half. They give it out to Johnson, who lets it fly. And the rebound comes down to Michigan State. A brilliant first half. Another one of those starts for Naz Hillman. Has only missed one shot from the floor and has put up 20 points in the first 20 minutes. 46-35 edge between two rivals, Michigan and Michigan State. At the half, we'll talk about the top 16 reveal.
Your voice on the Fox Sports app.
We are at halftime between Michigan State and Michigan. Now, last night, the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee revealed its top 16 seeds. So now it's time to dive into a deeper discussion. Always fun to chat with Howard Megdal of The Next, the women's basketball newsroom. And Howard, I want to keep a Big Ten specific focus here with the top 16 seed reveal. First of all, what was your reaction on how the Big Ten was represented this week?
A little bit underrepresented, if you ask me. You know, from a conference that had 5 of the top 18 teams in net rating, to see someone like Michigan not be included in that. And, you know, Rutgers obviously hasn't put together the resume yet, but a little bit surprising to see people a bit lower than I would have had them.
The two Big Ten teams represented Maryland as a number 2 seed and Indiana making the top 16 as well. So my next question is not a knock in particular. Maryland, I think, it fits, in my opinion, as the number 2 seed right now. My knock is not that Indiana does not deserve to be in the top 16 seed, but Michigan was left out. And my question is, why do you think that was in the committee's eyes?
It's a great question. There's no real good answer to that. You know, they have a resume that is on par with just about everyone in the country. They had one loss all year. It was at Ohio State, a tremendous team in their own right. They did that without Leah Brown as well, and that was a very close game. So to me, Michigan is a team that clearly belongs in that top 16, and it's my hope and belief that ultimately they'll get there.
As we record this, Howard, Michigan has only played 12 games total for the season. They are a team and a program that has to take a pause this year a couple of times for several reasons because of COVID protocol. So they haven't met that 13-game threshold that the NCAA set in terms of being able to qualify for the NCAA tournament. How much do you think that factored in with Michigan being left out of the top 16?
You know, it's possible. I don't want to speak for the committee in saying that that is the reason why, but that strikes me as a pretty lousy reason why. You know, the reason they're not playing more games is because they're following health and safety protocols to make sure that their student athletes are being kept safe. And so if on the heels of Naz Hillman scoring 50 points in a game, that 2-week pause keeps them from being properly rewarded for what's been a great season so far, I think that's a poor use of these criteria.
So how are you going to evaluate, if you are the committee member, if you put yourself in that position? Rutgers is another school that hasn't played as many games as other teams across the country. How do you evaluate not only a Michigan, but a Rutgers team that is trying to make up a resume here and build up some games towards the end of February?
Well, look, I just want to be clear. The committee has a very difficult task ahead of them. And there's no question that they're not going to have the data they usually have in order to do it. But if you saw Rutgers play against Northwestern last week, you easily understood that this was a tournament team, if not a team that I believe has a chance to make it easily into the second weekend. And so the use of the eye test, which is something that's always been a part of what they do, has to become a bigger part going forward. It's just a reality of the season we're in.
Just real quick, Howard, any other teams that you have outside of Maryland, Indiana, Rutgers, and Michigan that could be NCAA tournament teams in the Big Ten?
Northwestern clearly has the makeup to be able to do that, especially, there's a lot of youth on that team that I'm really interested to see where they are come March. Listen, Michigan State has an opportunity to do it as well. Nebraska has some quality wins. This is an incredibly deep conference, and there is always pleasure to be gotten in watching them operate. And I think we're going to see a bunch of those teams make it to March, and those who do are going to go pretty far.
Let's not forget about Iowa, too, in the top 30 in the net across the country.
And the great Caitlin Clark, who obviously is in the conversation for Player of the Year, without question. Not Freshman of the Year, Player of the Year.
You've got that right as well. Well, Howard, thank you so much for your insight and the time. We always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Papa John's is known for its crispy, fresh crust.
This might just be the greatest season of all time. We got Denny defending Daytona. We got Joey, Kevin, and the all-time fan favorite.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
The best season ever.
Saturday, UConn battles Villanova in a Big East blockbuster on Fox. As the wild regular season races to the finish.
Watch out about that.
The Beasts of the East, 10th ranked Nova, look to march into the tournament on a high when Colin Gillespie and the Wildcats take on the Huskies.
Take that!
UConn Villanova, Saturday at 12:30 Eastern, sponsored by Jeep on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Elimination Chamber combatants collide when Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro battle Jey Uso, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn in a spectacular six-man tag team match. It's an all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern on Fox.
Imagine if Chris, as a kid, was never given a baseball, Shannon a helmet, or a football, Big Poppy a bat. What if there were no cleats for heaven? How many future stars will never shine if they don't have the equipment to play with? Access to sports and play has been limited, but you can help keep our kids in the game. Text PLAY to the number on your screen and help us restore play.
Thursday on the Big Ten Network, a women's hoops doubleheader tipping off and a couple of Player of the Year candidates. Caitlin Clark in Iowa against Penn State, then the Wolverines and Naz Hillman squaring off against Indiana. That is going to be a big one, a top 15 showdown, and it's all Thursday on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. We are at halftime here between Michigan State and Michigan. 11-point advantage for the Wolverines.
If you have obstructive sleep apnea,
46-35, Michigan over Michigan State. We take a stroll down stadium as we head back to the Chrysler Center. Want to remind you, too, more great women's basketball tomorrow on the Big Ten Network. A hoops matinee. Diamond Miller and 9th-ranked Maryland take on Illinois. The action tips off tomorrow at 1 Eastern on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. We still have a second half left to play between these two rivals, the Spartans and the Wolverines. The second half to come. That's your halftime score. We are moments away from starting the third quarter. Naz Hillman, our State Farm State of Success. She loves playing against these rivals. The first half against Ohio State, those are her numbers. We know what happened in the ending chapter of that game. She put up 50. It was a record-setting scoring performance for Michigan. And then today, look at this. She has actually done one better, Christy, than that Ohio State first half.
Could we be seeing another monumentous offensive onslaught by one Naz Hillman? I mean, she's played 19 minutes. She has 20 points, 8 of 9 from the floor by Naz Hillman. She's just so quick, so smart, so crafty on the catch. And you've got to be ready to deny her the ball. That is the best defense you can play against her because, Lisa, once she gets the ball, it is nightmarish for opponents.
From Ann Arbor, Michigan, again, the 94th meeting between Michigan State and Michigan. Of those 20 points, 8 of them have been layups, by the way, as Crooms draws a foul on Michigan on the first possession for Michigan State. That is the second personal on Leah Brown.
Such a big guard. Janae Crooms, such a big guard. Transfer from Ohio State. Susie Merchant said she can see and survey over the top of the last 2 games, and when they face zones, she's been able to get some good skip passes there. She's a a viable defender and rebounder, and she's a pass-first player. She said Nia Clouden loves when she's on the floor because she knows that she's going to facilitate to her.
Well, she had a game high and a career high 7 assists in the last game. Johnson with the miss and chases down her own miss. Now working in the lane against the undersized Clouden, and she got Clouden up in the air, and she'll take a trip to the free throw line.
Michigan State fouls number 23, Janae Cruz.
I mean, this must be a post-move drill that Michigan works on because it looks eerily similar to what Naz Hillman did earlier in the game, the little up and under. Very nifty with the footwork by the Michigan post players.
Kenray Johnson, as we mentioned, a graduate student now for Michigan. Kim Barnes-Arico attributes the veteran leadership like a Johnson to be able for Michigan to handle sort of the starts and the pauses that they've had to try to abide to COVID protocol here this year. The veterans able to handle it and the maturity able to handle it as Michigan is back in game number 2 after their return to play. There is Brown with the turnaround for 2.
Yeah, nice and smooth there by Leah Brown, and that's just another piece to the puzzle offensively, and they didn't have that, quite frankly, Lisa, last year. Now they have someone like Leah Brown who can spread the floor a little bit, provide a little less pressure for Naz Hillman having to score the ball at every time down. She takes a lot of relief off of Naz.
Tyra Parks was trying to campaign for her point, and she thought she got fouled on that play, lost control of the ball, and gives it right back to Michigan, who's working off of this 13-point advantage.
Sticking with man-to-man is Michigan State.
Off the glass for the lefty finish for Haley Brown, and she's at 7 in this game.
Well, the beauty of Michigan's offense, especially in that first half, they had those 9 assists on 17 made shots. And for Michigan State, just 1 assist, Lisa, on 13 made shots. So you're seeing the extra passes being made for Michigan. And that's why they've found so much success, especially in the paint, where now they've outscored Michigan State 30-20.
And Michigan State, as Winston takes it hard inside. Michigan State, one of the teams who even at some point early in this season actually averaged 20 assists per game. One of the better passing teams in the country. And the offensive foul call on Michigan.
Right, coming downhill is Leah Brown. And right there, just crashing into the established defender, Nia Clouden.
And this is the 3rd personal on Leah Brown, who will now take a seat for Michigan. That's significant. Their 2nd leading scorer now on the bench with 7.5 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Let's see if Michigan State can take advantage. Pull-up is good for Clouden, who's now got 16 here in the game.
That's right, Lisa. Leah Brown, I mean, she averages just under 20 points a game for Michigan. Someone else is going to have to step up and score. But Nia Clouden for Michigan State, now's your time. Clear it out for Clouden was one of the keys for Michigan State, and they set nice, strong screens. She doesn't need much time off of those screening actions to get into her shot and finish.
Johnson with that step-through move. She took it all the way and had a nice underhanded finish.
Michigan is really tough to stop in the painted area, and that's just what they want to do. That is their personality. That's their MO. They want to score in the paint first.
A foul there on the offensive rebound. Tyra Parks putting in some work there in the paint for Michigan State. It's the 2nd personal called on Haley Brown for Michigan.
trying to get Nia Clouden freed off of the screening action, but great job defensively there by Michigan not to allow Clouden a crease.
Eliza Winston going off the glass, and Christy, you had addressed it. Michigan State would love to see Winston get back to the kind of scorer that she was at the beginning of the year for Michigan State.
Now, Eliza Winston, she is a viable scorer, and Susie Merchant has said, hey, I don't know what else I have to tell her to have her get into her offense. She is a strong scorer, but sometimes I have to beg her to shoot the ball. So in the last game against Penn State, she kind of came back to herself in that way and knocked in 3 threes in that game.
Nothing but net here for Maddie Nolan as she hits her second three-point make, but don't blink because Michigan State on the run, but shuffling her feet, Alicia Smith, and a costly turnover for the Spartans.
Susie Merchant said they want to get up and down. Yep, that left foot came down as the third step. Good call.
Mardrika Cook, who was saddled with foul trouble back in the game. She didn't play a whole lot there in the first half. Here's the kick out for Winston, who had a cool, clean look at it, and she drills the three.
Nice read by Nia Clouden. She leads the team in assists with 4. Yes, she does get her 19 points, but she can facilitate as well with the best of them. Nice find.
Clouden's first assist, which is unusual for her, but her first assist here of the game, just muscling it in for 2, is a Kenray Johnson.
I thought she drew some contact there on the defender, who met her right there up the line with contact at the hip.
Off the glass, a nice move for Mardrika Cook, and that's a little bit of what they were missing in the first half when she wasn't playing because of foul trouble.
Yeah, that spin cycle was tough.
An offensive rebound there for Naz Hillman. They're going to peg Nia Clouden with the foul on that. You can see her reaction to that decision.
Well, here's the board work by Naz Hillman. 2 hands. And they called the foul on Clouden, who was just trying to make a play on the ball, but a little too overly aggressive with her hands on Hillman.
Yeah, it looked like she had almost all ball on that. Well, it's 2 personals now on Clouden. 2 for Parks, 2 for Winston, 2 for Cook. That's on the Michigan State side.
But listen, Naz Hillman is strong. And if you don't go in there and try to just rip that ball away, I mean, good luck getting it away from Naz Hillman, though. She has clamps on that ball.
And Cook taking it to the rack and drawing the foul. She's only played 6 minutes here in this game, but she's already making a difference here in the third quarter for Michigan State as they try to make a comeback.
Anthony Durrell is back.
Anthony Durrell.
The 2-time former champ takes on the rising Caron Davis.
Let your hands go. This is your moment.
Durrell Davis, February 27th on Fox.
Hey, man. Hey. Hey.
Never liked him.
Saturday, UConn battles Villanova in a Big East blockbuster on Fox. As the wild regular season races to the finish,
Watch out.
the Beasts of the East, 10th-ranked Nova, look to march into the tournament on a high when Colin Gillespie and the Wildcats take on the Huskies. UConn Villanova, Saturday at 12:30 Eastern, sponsored by Jeep on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Eliza Winston kind of riding the highs now after struggling a little bit the previous 4 games going into that February 13th meeting against Penn State. And Christy, she's building off 11 points against Penn State with 11 points here today.
Absolutely. And in that game against Penn State, Eliza Winston went 3 for 5 from 3, and it's all about confidence. Coaches can tell you, hey, take that shot. you can make that shot, but it's up to the player to actually mentally flip the switch into be an aggressive competitor. And that's what Eliza Winston has shown today. And you want to continue to put those kinds of games together. You want to have consistent effort. You don't want to hit those lulls. But yes, as a shooter, sometimes you're going to shoot and miss it, but there's something to be said if you don't even take the shot. And I think that was the issue prior to that Penn State game for Winston.
You saw her numbers last year to this year. As a freshman, you saw it. She only averaged about 3 points per game, and Susie Merchant said she got into great shape for this year. She didn't like sitting as much as she did as a freshman, so she took it upon her shoulders to change her future for her sophomore season.
I tell you what, when you come into the game and you do what you can do, coaches will put you on the floor consistently. But you have to perform consistently as well.
4 of 13 now from 3 here for Michigan. Brown has entered back into the game. She's playing with the 3 personals for Michigan, and we got a jump ball.
Jump ball, Michigan possession.
Wolverines will keep it.
We just love the way Michigan rebounds the ball. They average a plus 14.8 differential and rebounds to lead the Big Ten in that category.
And just when she is reinserted into the game, already making a difference again, Leah Brown getting the bucket. She's got 14 to Naz Hillman's 20, who, by the way, has not scored yet in the third quarter.
I credit Michigan State for taking away those touches, and we said how important that would be defensively for Michigan State.
That's the 3rd personal now on Cook, who has done such a good job here in the third quarter. We'll see if Susie Merchant decides to leave her in or not.
Kenray Johnson taking that charge for Michigan State. I tell you, I give a lot of credit to players who have pride on the defensive end. Kenray Johnson, she's that cornerstone of Michigan's defense in that way.
Here's Brown, who's got another open look. Can't knock that one down. There's Johnson battling for the rebound and comes up with it, hangs on to it. It'll be another jump ball going Michigan State's way.
Well, you've got to be tough-minded. You've got to be gritty if you're going to be your team's best defensive player. And rebounds count as defense, too. Those are stops. And Kenray Johnson says, I need to take away at least half of the other team's best players' offensive production. And she has had the toughest of the tough in Big Ten play.
Nia Clouden hitting her first 3-point make and the 3rd for Michigan State. But this offense looks a lot different. Again, just 2 assists for Michigan State. Their season low was 10 against Maryland earlier this year.
And they're giving Naz Hillman that space when she catches it right there at the elbow. She did take that shot in that first half and missed it.
Hillman dumping it low to her teammate that time. And the Michigan bucket, and the shot clock was winding down that time, but she found Emily Kaiser there on the block.
Fantastic recognition by Naz Hillman to survey and find her teammate with great position on the interior.
And that's going to be Brown's 4th. Leah Brown has picked up number 4.
Partially blocked shot by Leah Brown. And then a great find underneath. Naz Hillman going to the loose ball and then finding a loose teammate underneath to finish in the paint. And that's the kind of patience and unselfish play. I mean, Kaiser was right there with great position in there. Could she have put it on the deck, Lisa, and tried to force up a shot on her own? Absolutely. Could Kaiser have gone up the lane line to get out of her way? Sure. But that was the best play for the team, and that was the advantage. And Naz Hillman found it.
But it's huge, Christy, with Leah Brown sitting on the bench. She's picked up 4 fouls. 2 minutes and 41 seconds left to play in the third quarter. It's still a 10-point advantage and well within reach here for Michigan State.
And Nia Clouden, wow, she has come on. She's scored more than 20 points in 7 games. But how efficient has she been this afternoon, Lisa? In 25 minutes, 21 points on 7 of 12 shooting.
I'd say that's really efficient. Another 20-point game for her in her career.
2 shots, players. 2.
And Mardrika Cook now will take a seat with her 4th personal.
She's a little frustrated there as she took a seat, and it is tough. I mean, now you have the entire 4th quarter to play and just 1 foul to give. You've got to be extremely disciplined, but you also have to pull back a little bit and not be as aggressive on the defensive end, and you can't gamble.
And Naz Hillman has picked up a foul. That'll be her 3rd. Have they
what
done
Michigan likes to do, they like to hard hedge. They like to hard hedge in that action, and that's what Hillman got caught in.
It sends Nia Clouden back to the free throw line. She could be the first Michigan State Spartan since the mid-'80s to lead her team in scoring, assists, and steals. She's done a little bit of everything for Michigan State, especially this year in her junior season.
Well, she's become a leader for this team, and as I said in that first half, she was thrust into becoming that leader for the team midway through last year when Michigan State was struggling with a lot of injuries, players in and out of the lineup, and they needed her to be that stabilizing force. They're in that 2-3 zone right here.
Well, Michigan looking different in this offense here, and Michigan State taking it on transition. It's a single-digit game again. And Naz Hillman, who hasn't taken a shot, that was her first attempt. Again, she hasn't scored here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, that zone has changed things for Michigan State. You see the nice steal and pushing tempo. Eliza Winston, oh my goodness. Watch right here. Boom, boom, oh, the Euro splitting the defense and taking it up off the glass. That's a confident move.
Naz Hillman's first points of the 3rd quarter. She was 8 of 9 shooting in the first half and 20 points in the first half. Still has yet to take a shot from the floor. And Leah Brown sitting there for Michigan on the bench with 4 fouls. This is starting to get interesting. A lead that was as many as 16 for Michigan. And the Spartans making a charge in the 3rd.
Well, I think Michigan State's defense has changed. That zone has really been a problem for Michigan in this second half.
Well, their offense has certainly looked
crowded
a lot
the
different.
paint. They've taken away paint touches.
Diving on the floor. Kim Barnes-Arico was trying to call a timeout before they called the jump ball. And Michigan will get the possession.
Well, if you can't get a touch with an entry pass, Naz Hillman, one of the best in the game in terms of pursuing the offensive boards. She created her own touch on that one.
Two points coming from the free throw line in this 3rd quarter for Naz Hillman as she tries to post up on Parks. Gets the bucket and the foul. Naz Hillman's first bucket of the second half, coming with 1:21 left in the 3rd.
Watch this great bounce pass, just enough spin on it to get it into Naz Hillman's hands. Watch right here. The post position, got the post stuck on the high side. She does a magnificent job of staying connected to the defense on her seal. She didn't release too soon, or that would have been going the other way for Michigan State.
Well, she's right at her average now at 25.
9 of 10 shooting, Lisa, for Naz Hillman right now.
That's good, right?
I mean, I just did the nonverbal mind-blowing.
That's a little mind-blowing there. Eliza Winston with an and one, taking the contact.
Eliza Winston coming on strong for Michigan State, taking the contact, creating the contact, and finishing the play right here, taking it into the teeth of the defense, and then showing some passion. Lisa, I don't know if I've seen that from Winston before.
10-point advantage. Winston with the 16 points, a really good game for her.
They need all of that. They don't want all of that to fall on Nia Clouden and putting pressure on her to score 30 points. She needs help.
I think that's the big question for Michigan State, is who can be that consistent second and third scorer to assist Nia Clouden. And look out, if that is on, we'll confirm. It is on Naz Hillman, and that is number 4. So how about this? Michigan's arguably second best players with 4 fouls in the third quarter.
Yeah, right here, she switches on to Clouden and then bumps her physically in the back. You didn't see any contact up top with the arm, but when that shooter is airborne, any part of the body that makes contact is an issue. And that's going to send her to the bench, Lisa, with Brown.
And that is a nightmare for Kim Barnes-Arico and Michigan, to have your 2 best players saddled with foul trouble and still 10 minutes to play in this one. Nia Clouden now 9 of 11 from the free throw line. Doing a great job taking it to the bucket and getting herself to the foul line.
Well, I think right now, Lisa, for Michigan State, they need to attack the paint and get the pace that Susie Merchant said that they wanted to play this game with. But this zone has really taken the air out of the rhythm of Michigan's offense.
Well, they find Brown down low, and good defense there for Michigan State. Got to wonder where the offense is going to come from Michigan on that side. Final few seconds of the quarter as Crooms with a crossover. Putback is good for Michigan State.
Crooms created that. Well, Crooms created that because she attacked the basket, and whether or not that shot goes in is irrelevant. You put the ball up to the rim, and your teammates can help clean it up. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to compete. Tyra Parks gets that one to go. Crooms setting up her teammates by getting the ball to the basket. Teammates picking up the loose change.
Best Big Ten cities to get some eats and some treats in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Christy Winter-Scott and Lisa Byington with you. Let's revisit the keys that you thought would be important for this one.
Well, steal and score for Michigan State. Today they have 4 steals and they have 17 points off of turnovers. They average 18.8 points off of turnovers. So right there, and clear out for Clouden. And Clouden has been fantastic. 24 points on 7 of 12 shooting. And for Michigan, the keys, board work. They're +6 right now over Michigan State. And Naz Hillman go through her and to her. 25 points and 6 boards for her. But she has saddled Lisa, as we said, with those 4 fouls, the same as Leah Brown.
Yeah, neither Naz Hillman or Leah Brown beginning this fourth quarter for Michigan. Kenray Johnson gets that bucket for the Wolverines. But you got to wonder, where is the offense going to come from with those 2 out of the game right now?
Well, I think Amy Dilk has to be the one, too, to kind of step up her game and be aggressive offensively, utilize some screening opportunities, get some actions that way, and get downhill. You see, she's trying to set up the offense here.
Five now to shoot, and they feed Haley Brown, and it goes off her fingertips, and it's another turnover for Michigan. There's 4 fouls for Leah Brown, the second leading scorer for Michigan, and 4 fouls for Naz Hillman, the leading scorer for Michigan. That's 39 points right now. That's sitting on the bench.
Lisa, that's exactly, and they combined for 41 points. against Purdue on Thursday, Lisa, and they just complement each other so very well, the inside and outside balance of that, but they've got to weather the storm, Michigan does, because Michigan State, they sense an advantage right now with both of the primary scorers off the court for Michigan.
Michigan State taking advantage. You see the points off turnovers. Danielle Rausch into the game here for Michigan, and Brown again gets tied up. They close tightly on Haley Brown on the inside.
Well, that pass was just not there. That was not an option. And that was a tough decision to make.
Cook stays into the game here for Michigan State.
Defense.
Now a short shot clock opportunity here for Clouden. Getting the double screen. She'll pull and fire from distance. A huge shot for Michigan State, and it cuts the lead to 3.
Patience and poise personified by Nia Clouden on that play.
27 points for Nia Clouden. And coming down with a big rebound there. Her career high is 32 that she picked up for Maryland. She's trying to shoulder the load here for Michigan State, and another offensive foul call on the screen there on Tyre Parks.
Well, you try to sell that screen sometimes by turning your body, and that's always going to be a foul. But Clouden, watch right here. She surveys behind the double screen. Kenray Johnson came up to hedge, but she did not give her enough space. Look at the bench. They love it. Michigan State fans love it. I'm sure Tori Jankowska and Ariel Powers, who texted Susie Merchant yesterday, I'm sure they love that play as well.
Leah Brown has re-entered the game here for Michigan. And again, this was once a 16-point advantage for the Wolverines in the first half. Into the corner there for Cook, who got a look. That was for the tie.
You don't need the home run play. Get the ball on the inside and try to get something downhill and create contact, get a three-point play that way.
And the fouls are piling up for Michigan State. That is another foul on Janae Crooms. That's her second.
Your second personal foul. Team second. The ball to the Wolverines on ABT.
Amy Dilk to the free throw line. Kim Barnes-Arico saying that Dilk had a really good week of practice. And challenging her point guard to try to take the next steps for herself personally to take this team to maybe championship form, perhaps.
No question. I mean, she said that the change in the lineup with Maddie Nolan was more defensive-minded than offensive-minded, and you just have to stay ready. Whatever opportunity you have to get on the floor, you have to display that you are a team first player. And no pouting. If you're taken out of the lineup, then you work your way back into it.
Another foul called on Clouden. That's her third personal. So 4 on Cook, 3 on Clouden, 4 on Parks, if you're keeping tally. And again, Brown and Hillman on the Michigan side with 4 personals. Here is Brown, who's taking the contacts, the tight rims at Chrysler for the home team.
Michigan State basketball. Checking Ms. Martins, number 1, Tori Osmond.
A lot of contact down inside. I think both players wanted something to be called. Leah Brown got up into her shot. And then Eliza Winston was talking about how I think she got bumped in the face on the way up for that one.
Leah Brown is really good at drawing fouls. She drew 10 of them in the last game against Purdue and had 11 free throws. So that's part of her game, but she didn't get the call that she wanted there on that possession. And Haley Brown this time whistled for the foul.
Number 15, Haley Brown. That's her third personal foul. Team's first of the fourth quarter.
Watch right here. There's the screen. And Nia Clouden just could not see over the outstretched hands right there, Brown, to get the ball to the player who rolled. So great disruption defensively, although a foul was called. You just can't get close. You're long and lanky. Use your length. You don't need to be close to the offensive player to be disruptive.
It's 3 personals as Johnson comes over for the block and Cook with the foul, and she's done. Mardrika Cook has fouled out now for Michigan State.
She's their defensive dynamo, so she will be missed in terms of what Michigan State likes to do on the defensive end. And right there, she was just going for that loose ball, and you could just sense her frustration there, knowing that that was her 5th.
Susie Merchant thought that their depth was one of the strengths that they have going into this game, but the depth being tested a little bit. Losing players to foul trouble.
No Naz Hillman yet with those 4 fouls, Lisa, but I think it's got to be any minute now. I see her standing up over there, 0-0 in yellow on the Michigan bench.
She's been standing this whole quarter. She's ready to get in whenever Kim Barnes-Arico turns her way. 5 now to shoot.
Yep.
Leah Brown with 2 on the shot clock. Air ball for Michigan and a shot clock violation.
Shot clock violation. Michigan State basketball.
And here she comes. 0-0 getting the nod.
Checking in for the Wolverines, 0-0.
She was waiting over there, going right foot, left foot, swaying back and forth, trying to keep herself warm, trying to keep herself ready to move when she gets back on the floor. Those 4 fouls, we'll see if Michigan State tries to set her up to drive on this possession.
She had 20 points in the first half, but a slower 3rd quarter for Hillman. Offensive rebound, and drawing the foul is Smith. Will go to the free throw line, and it's another foul on Brown, and that is number 4 on Haley Brown. So 3 for Michigan now with 4.
And Haley Brown, I mean, she came into this game, like you said, Lisa, struggling from the 3-point line, but that's her MO. That's what she does well for Michigan. And you take her off the floor, you're losing another viable offensive weapon. Coming into this game, made 14 threes, the most on the team.
Julia Ayrolt checking back in as Osmond checks out for Michigan State.
And number 14, Tahir Parks.
And Parks will come back in. She's playing with 4 personals for Michigan State. Some key players on both sides saddled with foul trouble in the final 5 minutes to play.
Well, Ayrolt for Michigan State, she's going to bring that grinded-out defensive mentality. Now a 3-2 zone by Michigan State.
Leah Brown, a huge 3. They turn towards 32's way, and she responds.
She responds all right, coming into this game shooting 48% from 3. You've got to be able to meet her on the catch and get a hand in her shooting pocket and be disruptive on that catch.
Clouding got to look at it. Still sitting on the 27 points for Michigan State. Setting something up.
Man-to-man now by Michigan State.
Setting something up here for Naz Hillman. They find her, and it's the first bucket of the 4th quarter for Hillman.
And probably one of the easier touches that she has received in this second half.
She's only taken 2 shots in the second half, just 7 points after her 20-point first half performance. Clouded with the pull-up. Tough shot. Michigan closed tightly. The Wolverines chewing up some time on the last couple of possessions. Five now to shoot for Michigan. Hillman is posting. Brown will take it. The contact off the glass for 2. 5 crucial points by Leah Brown.
Big time move there by Leah Brown, taking and absorbing the contact by Winston inside, who probably got away with a foul.
And somehow finding the crease there is Nia Clouden. Tough, cutting the lead here to 8.
What can Brown do for you? Everything, especially in clutch moments. Leah Brown taking a hard cut, sizing up the 3 and knocking it home. The bench loving it right there, absorbing contact, kissing it off the glass and saying that should have been an and 1.
Stars from Michigan State and Michigan would be big, and they have not disappointed here today, Christy.
I've been having a blast. Listen, these two young women, they are so dynamic with how they lead their respective teams. 29 points for Clouden and 27 for Naz Hillman. Look at Naz Hillman, 10 of 11 from the floor. Both have 7 boards. They have been doing work on the floor in Ann Arbor.
No, but Hillman doing most of her work in the first half. Again, a 7-point second half on just 2 shots taken. She's got into some foul trouble. And Clouden getting support from Winston. Both of them with a key 10 points to accumulate for 20 combined in the third quarter for Michigan State to help a little bit of this comeback in the second half.
That's been a collective effort for Michigan State, but they cannot give Naz Hillman a clear path to the bucket.
10-point advantage, lead back up to double figures. Michigan State got as close as to 3 points after trailing by 16. A-Roll's under control and in for 2. She's got 5 points.
She is just so tough, so strong, and just finds her way to the basket. And now you see Michigan State trying to trap, and that's the danger of trapping. If you don't rotate and scramble out of those traps, you get burned at the basket. Right there at the rim is Naz Hillman once again.
She's only missed 1 shot, 12 of 13. She's at 31 points so far in this game.
Incredible.
Clouden for 3. She has been incredible.
3.
Most certainly. And Nia Clouden, it's just so effortless. She's just so seamless getting into her shot, even in pressure situations like right now. They know they need to manufacture some offense. She wants the ball at those times for Michigan State.
And Clouden with that 3 has tied her career high with 32 points as she pulls down the rebound for Michigan State, but the Spartans running out of time. Clouden so quick with that crossover. She has a new career high, trying to will her Spartans back in this one.
Nia Clouden, oh my goodness, she possesses the pity pat right here. Oh, pity pat, oh, and then off the glass, finding a way to the rim. Watch the little rat-a-tat-tat, little drum roll by Nia Clouden with her ball handling ability.
Our 2 stars, Naz Hillman and Nia Clouden, both have produced 30-point games today. 31 for Naz Hillman and a career-high 34 for Nia Clouden. And Christy, 20 of those 34 coming in the second half.
Well, Nia Clouden has been magnificent. 20 points for Naz Hillman in the first half. 20 points for Nia Clouden in the second. She has just been phenomenal in terms of her composure and her shot selection. 11 of 18 shooting for the junior Nia Clouden, who has just been so efficient all season long, shooting 51% from the floor coming into this game.
And she's so well balanced. You can see just her entire game and where she ranks in the Big Ten this year. We don't even see her rebounding total on that graphic. She not only has the career-high 34 points here today, but she is a good rebounding guard, and she's produced 8 rebounds in this game as well.
That's aggression. That is competitive fire. And Susie Merchant said, well, she is not a gregarious young lady. She barely says boo, but I tell you, looking at that gaudy stat line, that's speaking. That's speaking to a lot of people. And she is just so incredibly consistent for Michigan State.
Well, it's a season high 8 rebounds here for Nia Clouden, and an important game for both of these teams. Krista, you mentioned it at the beginning of this game. Both of these programs tried to play this game this is the third time to try to schedule this game. Both programs have been affected by COVID protocol in a couple of different ways, and this game was originally scheduled to be played on January 18th and again on January 28th, and obviously very important for these two head coaches, not only just because of the proximity, just about 65 miles separate these two schools, but just the meaning of this rivalry to at least get one of these Michigan State-Michigan games in this year.
No question. In Michigan, they swept Michigan State both times last year, and it was the first time to do that since 2014-2015. And should the Wolverines hold on for this 3-game win streak, that would be the first time, Lisa, since 2000 and the 2002 seasons.
Yeah, that stretch from 1999 to 2002. Johnson Dilk and Haley Brown are the only ones on this Michigan roster that were actually alive during that time when Michigan took 3 straight from Michigan State.
Thanks for the reminder of how fast time has gone by on that, Lisa.
I thought you were going to say on how old we are. Johnson with an important 2 for the Wolverines.
Just how time has wings, that's it. But wow, Michigan, they have really had something more to play for than the rivalry this afternoon, and it has levels to it. Kim Barnes-Arico said they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder, not just because of the rivalry, but also because they were left off of that top 16 ranking going into the NCAA tournament. And just Maryland and Indiana being on that list yesterday, Lisa.
And they deserve to be on that list. We're not saying that. But we're questioning why Michigan was left off of the top 16. And it's something Kim Barnes-Arico was very passionate in talking to us today. This is going to be a tough stretch. But you know what? If Michigan can continue to pull this out in the final 15 seconds, they have a chance to prove to the NCAA tournament committee that they belong there. They beat a quality Michigan State team tonight, perhaps. They go to play Thursday at Indiana, and that Indiana game is crucial here for Michigan. And following the Indiana game, they have Ohio State, so they have a path, Christy, to prove to the rest of the country that they belong.
Well, the thing about it, Lisa, is that they're really not proving it to the rest of the country. They're proving it to themselves. They already know. They already know. And that's the most important thing. If you're playing to prove it to others, then there's something to be said for that. But there's also something to be said for we know who we are. And that's what Kim Barnes-Arico told us earlier today. We know what we possess. We know that we are one of the top defensive teams in the Big Ten, holding opponents to 59 points per game. We know that we hold opponents to 36% shooting from the floor and 25% from 3. We do our work on the interior. We lead the conference in rebounding margin with over 14 a game. We know who we are. So I think, yes, they do want to have other people understand that about them, but that's not the sole purpose behind what's in front of them.
And again,
they know that they are who they are, and they don't want to be slighted for it.
And slighted and disrespected is the word that Kim Barnes-Arico very passionately said to us today. She said, I ran 5 miles at a record-setting pace this morning after the top 16 reveal came out last night. She was fired up in our chat on Zoom today.
She was fired up. I didn't ask her for the time, but she said it was breakneck speed, and she was rolling in that 5-mile run that she had earlier today. But she just feels for the players. And, a couple of seasons ago when they didn't make it to the NCAA tournament, when they were 3rd in the Big Ten and ended up winning the WNIT championship that year, they had a chip on their shoulder that season as well.
Osment gets the rebound off the miss, but a little too late. 2.7 seconds left to play here for Michigan State. They rallied. Give them credit. They rallied from 16 down. Michigan State showed some fight, especially in that third quarter, to close this lead to 3 points. looking at the Big Ten standings, Maryland is 10-1 in conference play, and you look at this will now be the 13th game, the magic number 13 overall for Michigan. I say magic number 13 because that is the game tally that the NCAA had said would immediately qualify you to be able to participate in the NCAA tournament, followed by Indiana, Ohio State, and just a lot of quality basketball here. There's a lot of teams. When you work your way down the standings, you go Northwestern and Rutgers and Michigan State, and you heard our conversation at halftime with Howard Megdal. There are a group of teams in the Big Ten that can easily make a case to be NCAA tournament worthy.
Now just make sure that you are keeping your eye on all of the teams, the 5 teams who are ranked in the top 25 in the Big Ten, and Rutgers receiving votes this week. Keep an eye on the Big Ten. They are making quality noise that needs to be listened to.
The first 3-game win streak against Michigan State for Michigan since the 1999-2002 stretch. It wasn't easy for the Wolverines, but they win this one today, 86-82. 31 points for Naz Hillman and Leah Brown putting up 20. It was a scare with both of those players saddled with 4 fouls in the second half.
But I tell you what, they came to play when Naz Hillman made herself available to the basketball time and time again for Michigan. She was just a weapon that could not be reckoned with defensively for Michigan State. Naz Hillman, 12 of 14 from the floor, 33 minutes, and scored those 31 huge points. I mean, just a phenomenal showing also for Leah Brown with her 20 points. And she came up clutch down the stretch for Michigan.
It's the 4th 30-point game for Naz Hillman. She did it against Nebraska, and Oakland, and Ohio State, of course, in that record-setting game when she put up 50 against the Buckeyes. And so now it'll be a test here for Michigan, a big one coming up for Kim Barnes-Zarico and the Wolverines. You can catch that one on Thursday against Indiana. They had something to prove today, play with a little edge and a chip, and you check that off for the Michigan Wolverines against their rival here today. We hope you enjoyed it. A little women's basketball. We still have more basketball on Big Ten Network to come. We'll send it after the break to Rick Pizzo and Ben Brust to get you set for that. But for now, we say so long from Ann Arbor. Christy Winter-Scott, Lisa Byington, our entire crew. It's a 4-point win for Michigan over Michigan State.
One of the best record books.